Hey, do you want people to gloss over a lack of ethics in your career or personal life? Are you seized by a passion to propagandize without a shred of evidence to back up your claims, and you want to get away with it? Have no fear. Not only will pop news media possibly employ you, your wrongdoing and lies can be forgiven as long as you claim racial victimhood or systemic white male attacks actually made you do it. Yeah, this is a great way to operate. Hi everyone, I'm Gardner Goldsmith for MRC-TV. You know, I figure that we're all aware of the fact that no person can be objective. We're all human, even reporters, and humans are subjective beings. I think the most we can ask is that reporters try to be fair. Of course, in 2021, NBC nightly news host Lester Holt finally admitted what we've known for more than half a century. Fairness in the pop media newsonaut crowd isn't really going to be in the offing.
Fairness is overrated.
And of course, virtually anybody who's gotten a journalism degree or suffered through a college media course knows that this mendacious mentality grows from the university roots and social justice soil and then feeds into the entire news media system. For them, the ends justify the means. Ends means, the ends justify the means. So fairness, well, it seems like to them it's not needed. And as we've seen from the likes of Brian Williams, Mike Barnicle, and now in the news that USA Today just scrubbed 23 stories by former reporter Gabriela Miranda for what appear to be utter source fabrications. Oh, by the way, yet USA Today remains an integral part of Facebook's fact check squad. As we've seen with all that, for many left-oriented news reporters, it seems as if the ends of achieving some political end or supporting a political narrative justify the means of outright deception. And of course, the same seems to be the case for many professors who teach aspiring so-called journalists. According to the College Fix, a Marquette University assistant professor of journalism suggested in a Twitter thread that fabricating stories or being lax with one's journalistic integrity was acceptable, or at least understandable, if one could claim that he or she had suffered racism or the oppression of high standards. Thus explained Dr. Aileen Cabas-Millares. By the way, her doctorate is one of philosophy in journalism. In a Twitter thread, she said, quote, "In my few years as a journalism educator, I found that the younglings engage in unethical practices, i.e. fabricating quotes, etc., mostly out of desperation mixed with inexperience, almost never laziness or nefarious intent," end quote. So, first off, we get to enjoy the cliched puffery of her describing herself as a journalism educator, which is about as pleasurable as sitting on a thumbtack or hearing a person with a doctorate in philosophy/journalism describe herself as a doctor. And then we get to note that her tweet was not merely referring to students, but also to a paid professional, such as the aforementioned Gabriela Miranda from USA Today. Added Cabas-Millares, J-schools and newsrooms, for that matter, are supposed to provide the structure and support necessary for reporters, especially young ones, to face the complexities of journalism and apply rigor every step of the way. I know, journalism is so complex. It's so complex telling the truth, finding links. And there's this. Quote, "With Miranda, we have an early career reporter coming out of one of the most prestigious J schools in the country and landing in one of the biggest newsrooms. So how does this happen? Well, one of the most prevalent reasons someone gets caught for fabricating a story is because the reporter made it up. This isn't an accidental, unintended problem. It's conducted with intent. It's fraud. If you get a sense that the professor might be excusing fraud and laying the blame on some kind of system that failed the former USA Today hack, well, you'd be right. Cabas Mayares then blamed pressures, including USA Today staffing shortages, for leading to a possible lack in editorial oversight, which kind of skips over the whole "did the reporter make it up or not" part. And then she even went so far as to claim that USA Today dumping Miranda was an act of disloyalty, which sounds more like a gangland statement from a mob movie. We can ask, to what is USA Today's editorial team supposed to be loyal? Is it to the truth or the journalist who seems to have fabricated info almost 24 times? Indeed, as the College Fix notes, Cabas Mayares appears to side with backing the slick, grab-a-buck, pretend journalist, even as she, Cabas Mayares, teaches aspiring journalists at Marquette. They observe that this journalism doctor tweeted, quote, "Plug someone like Miranda, a young woman from a minoritized community trying to make it in a big white newsroom, and you get a recipe for failure," Cabas Mayares wrote. Oh, man. Seriously? Do we even know the racial makeup of the newsroom? Is that even relevant to truth or falsehood? What does that have to do with anything? Continues the College Fix, quote, USA Today said the investigation into Miranda began with an external correction request several weeks ago. The investigation then broadened to nearly 24 stories Miranda had written. That's 23 times. What would you do if you had 23 conversations with someone and he or she appeared to have lied to you each time? I suppose if you were a woke leftist, you might just promote that person who lies, as long as the lies fit your agenda. And by the way, if you suspect that Ms. Dr. Journalist Dr. Cabas Mayares is part of the social justice set, well, you're spot on. According to Marquette, she has a heady background in social movements and media activism, transnational feminism and media, the newly genderless Latinx studies, and journalism studies. And as an added bonus, one of her 3 hard-hitting instances of reporting is Communication for Social Change: Proposals for Action, published in Spain. And on the same official page, she offers, quote, Marquette's focus on moral responsibility and social justice speaks to my own education and ethics as a graduate of a Jesuit school and a critical media scholar. I want to help my students produce journalism that matters. The type of journalism that empowers communities and democracies. I have found that Marquette University possesses the resources and values to provide that kind of education, end quote. And in reading all of that, we get plenty of tidbits to offer to those wondering about Jesuit schools, social justice, collectivist orthodoxy, democracy, and Marquette. Curiously, one of the 10 commandments out there, remember those things? One of those says, thou shalt not bear false witness. But of course, for collectivists, there seems to be only one commandment. The ends, i.e. gaining political power over others, justify the means. I think that pretty much sums it up. Hey, thank you so much for watching, everybody. This is definitely a difficult situation when analyzing journalism because it comes up all the time. It's nonstop. The woke media out there will never go away. All we can do is become aware of it and make sure that we find the alternatives who are really trying to be fair. And we try to do that at MRC TV. Please visit us at mrctv.org. MRCTV.org. You can find the MRC Store there, and you can help the MRC by purchasing at the store. Help us out in the 35th year of the Media Research Center. You can also find us on Facebook, on Twitter, on TikTok, and on Instagram. And find our videos on Rumble where they don't censor us, and of course on YouTube where, yes, they do censor us. And if you're looking for my Twitter, it's @GardGoldsmith, and my Gab is @GardnerGoldsmith. Thanks so much for being kindred spirits. For MRC TV, I'm Gardner Goldsmith.